The 1-900 Wrestling Podcast is brought to you, as always, by everybody who supports us at patreon.com/1900wrestling. Not only does it get you the self-satisfaction of supporting the best wrestling podcast in the world, it also earns you passage into the 1-900 Wrestling Discord. We have separated the wheat from the chaff, ladies and gentlemen, to give you the best live wrestling chat room you could ever imagine. It's great. Man, it is a breath of fresh air whenever I look at other places where people talk about wrestling live, and then I understand that all I got to do to get the best is come back home, baby. So head on over there. If the 1-900 Wrestling Discord was your home, you'd be home by now. If you only go over to patreon.com/1900wrestling. But enough talking about how we do the show. Oh, what do you say we just do the damn thing?
I want you to call me for all of wrestling's latest news and views. I've been around in wrestling for 35 years, and nobody knows wrestling like me. Remember the number 1-900 Wrestling.
Oh, hell yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 1-900 Wrestling Show. And we got a doozy for you. A lot of news outside the ring. A lot of news about these promo wars in San Antonio. We've got wrestlers getting released. A wrestler making a butt of himself. Jeff Jarrett's gone. Wrestling media news. Oh my God, our cup floweth over. Joining me as always to talk about all of it is the man in Austin, Texas. He is Willie Dills Gregory. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing real good, actually. My hand, as you can see, not bandaged.
Oh wow, so that looks so much better. Oh my God, right?
It's like a regular color of skin again. Yeah, I've just got a couple. This just looks like I got sunburned.
It does. So. Oh my, I am so glad because I'm not all right now that it looks better. I can just tell you when I first saw that picture that you posted on Facebook of it, like really kind of bubbled up. I was like. Yeah. Oh my God! I hope it's not like the worst thing ever. I hope it looks better. You have no idea how personally relieved I am that your hand looks that good.
A lot of people are, because yeah, it looked like it really did look like it was a lot worse looking at that moment than I think it really was, because right when a burn happens, especially if it's like a grease burn, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on my skin. So it was, I took really good care of it. I went right away to see somebody, and as long as you do that, you'll be okay, But it is a scary thing, because skin bubbling off, you feel like you're gonna have like Freddy Krueger hand the rest of your life.
I know. That's what I'm like. I'm just hoping that I don't, every time that I shake hands with you for the rest of time, I'm not just gonna be like, oh no, it looks great. But now it looks great.
It's actually, I think you'll probably see some little something forever there, but it's eventually it's going to look just normal.
I think it looks, Cinder Flame points out, they glad that you didn't get the Deadpool hand. But hey,
sure.
Looking like an avocado had sex with an avocado. We've got, like I mentioned, just a smorgasbord of wrestling news here today. A lot of it's happening. We got a great philosophical question, but let's start with probably the biggest news, and that is the release from WWE of 3 superstars, Emma, Darren Young, and Summer Rae. List them in order of your attachment, Willie. Emma, Darren Young, and Summer Rae. Were you particularly fond of any of them?
I mean, Emma I really liked in NXT, but she never quite found her footing on the main roster, unfortunately. Her bubbly, goofy dancer gimmick didn't really catch on, and it was super fun to a smaller crowd, like the Full Sail crowd. That was great, because they all like to just kind of play along, right? That's one of their things, is that they want to do the dance, and I know the silly dance. Look at me, how I know stuff. That's one of the big kind of draws for them. But once it got to the main roster, yeah, it just, I don't know, it was too goofy, too weird. Didn't really have anything else to it other than she was a good wrestler.
I got a theory on this, because part of Emma's gimmick in NXT that got her over so well was that she was a goofball And
she was like clumsy, but also good.
She was a clumsy wrestler, right? Which is a really, really, really cool and interesting idea. And if she were a guy, I think it would have worked. The problem is everyone in NXT could work fairly well. And she was working with Paige, who had wrestled since she was 8, right? But when she got to the main roster, you're working with, at that point, this is the pre-women's revolution, right? This is before.
Yeah, she got up there before almost anybody else. So.
Yeah, it was before Emma and Charlotte, Charlotte and Sasha and Bailey and Becky and everybody was up there. So you had a lot of kind of the Eva Maries of the world, and you can't, to do the bit where I'm the clumsy women's wrestler, you need to both be very competent women's wrestlers so you can therefore effectively parody what is a clumsy women's wrestler, right?
Yeah, and without making it look absolutely horrible, and while keeping it somewhat safe too, right? So.
Yeah, and this is what I really, really liked with the initial idea of the Emelina thing, was that I would have loved to see her take a lot of that moveset and basically parody the generation before the women's revolution and say, like, no, I still think this is a great gimmick to do, to have the wrestler who's like the Sable. Imagine if you dropped Sable in, but she could actually kind of wrestle a little bit, and it's just, she gets the title, and every match needs to be a bra and panties match, and every match needs to be a pillow fight match or whatever. And it's like,
no, if you made her like Eva Marie, who could actually wrestle,
yes,
that would be fantastic. Because you could also even have her be, constantly like scared to do stuff, like doesn't want to wrestle, can look really awkward, and then all of a sudden pulls out like some sick move and wins the match.
But again, it's right? like, you have to be a really competent rapper to pretend to be a bad rapper, right? So it comes off as, oh, where the pauses are funny, where this kind of stuff is. Same thing with wrestling. Same thing with anything, really. It's like, any kind of performance, you need to be X good to be fake bad. And that was the problem, is that she was wrestling a lot of people that, like, the joke fell flat, because it's like, what, another crappy women's wrestler? Like, oh, okay, cool, I guess.
Yeah, it didn't. I don't think that when people come up from NXT, either they have like so much heat that it doesn't really matter, or like they're just there's something about them that already like people have been paying attention to, or their gimmick is just already like meant for a big crowd, right?
Yeah.
And I think like Bobby Roode obviously had been around wrestling for a long time, but he didn't spend that much time in NXT. And when he comes up, though, he's got Glorious, and he's got robes, and he's got, all that stuff. And Emma just all of a sudden, and she's just doing this thing. And people had to know, or else they were just like, yeah, what the, who, why?
Yeah.
She almost looked like a jobber if you didn't know.
Well, then they pair her up. They pair her up with Santino, which, if Santino had more time on his career, I almost think that those two were talented enough that no matter what the initial gimmick was, they probably could have made it work, because they're both very interesting and talented and funny.
Yeah.
Just a bad time. Emma tweeted out a broken heart. Darren Young and Summer Rae. I wasn't really there for Darren Young's first kind of push. I guess he was there with the Nexus thing.
Yeah, but he was also the God, now I can't even remember what they're called, but his team with Titus O'Neil, which was
the primetime players. The primetime players.
Yeah, primetime players. Thank you.
Millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. Millions of dollars.
Yeah, they were actually awesome. I really enjoyed the primetime players. And they, for a period of time, I don't know if you remember this, they had a manager who would yell things during their matches.
Yeah.
And I guess one time he would yell some very offensive things as well. But that's actually, I think he lost his job because he yelled something that was just over the top.
Just way too offensive.
Yeah, but they were great. And I actually liked Darren Young the best out of those two. I thought he was going to be the one to kind of go on and be a star, although I think in Vince's world, it's got to be Titus Young because he's huge, right? But Darren Young was just always a good wrestler who looked good, and I always thought he was solid, and I was kind of surprised that nothing ever came of him and his character. Like they tried a few different things, nothing ever really stuck. He got injured at bad times.
I don't think he had it, though. And I don't think that's not to say that he can never have it. Maybe, there's another act for him. But he, look at the difference between Drew McIntyre when he left and where he is now. Like look at for whatever you can criticize Jinder Mahal for. I think it's a lot of it is in the ring as he starts to continue to step up his moveset and everything to be a main event moveset, and he's still working. Everybody he worked with basically is much better than him and has spent a lot more time at the top. Darren Young, I hope that there's another 10% to him. And
he's kind of like the baby face with no real gimmick, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that in a way WWE was afraid to just pull off the openly gay wrestler gimmick.
But even then, where do you go with it? I mean,
aside
from making just
you don't want to make it something weird, but like just acknowledge it. I don't know, like they just never acknowledge it, and then they didn't give him anything, right?
Yeah.
Like the next thing they gave him was Bob Backlund's going to make him great again, and that was just there was nothing going on there.
It's kind of weird,
was really dumb.
It's just a weird where does it go?
I don't know, talk about it. Like it seemed like they were like, we don't want to talk about it because then we're talking about it. But it's like, well, I think it's something that's worth being talked about.
I mean, it's certainly novel, but I can understand some of the hesitance of like, whenever you get into an angle like that, you better be sure you do it right.
Well, sure. You don't want to have heels suddenly becoming like homophobic or something like that. I don't know. It's it's something that's I guess I could see why they would be hesitant to pull it off, but I think his character would have been a lot stronger if he was just himself, right? Like he just is him. We've talked about on the show, like him turned up to 11. Like a gay guy who isn't defined by being gay. That's the thing that a lot of people don't see these characters.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of times you see the gay character on a show or something, and the only thing you know about them is that they are gay. Right. And so I like the fact that, it wasn't his main thing, but I think it also should have been something. I don't know. Should have been something.
Now, Summer Rae, I really thought had tremendous comedic potential. She was the only good thing in that, or her and Rusev were the only good things in that Lana split with Dolph Ziggler and everything.
Well, Rusev is always a good thing, and Summer Rae actually did some good stuff there. I also I liked her character a lot in NXT as she was like the really good wrestler who was also just like a mean bitch to everybody.
I thought that was something that I really think should have gone further. For people who didn't watch earlier NXT, she was the head of the Mean Girls clique that included Sasha and Charlotte and tormented Bayley. That was kind of that angle, and you look at where all three of them have gone, and how great their careers have been. But Summer Rae was there too, and I thought that she was a great bitch. As she just
has that face, that like snotty looking face.
She just what did Jim Cornette always said? Sunny used to describe herself as an out front C word. And she had that similar kind of just bitchy attitude that she could project.
She was a good athlete. Like before that, I know it's kind of a lame thing, but she was in this like bra and panties football league where they actually played football. Yeah. And she was, I guess from everything I hear, she was actually pretty good there. And she was a pretty good wrestler too. So it's weird to me that some of the women who have much less ability have somehow managed to stick around, and yet Summer Rae just kind of fell off. So she started wrestling a lot less, and I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, where I mean, I'm sure that that she probably had a presence on like Superstars or Main Event, the shows that don't get as much viewership. Then I'm sure there were plenty of B-Town house shows that got their fill of Summer Rae's wrestling. However, not everybody handled it well. A lot of in their departures, a lot of classy tweets from Darren Young, and Emma obviously was feeling bad about it. But somebody that didn't handle it so well was one of the newest NXT signees who has been wrestling, independent superstar, CZW superstar, Lio Rush, he decided to tweet, I guess these are the things that happen when you are truly not ready for Asuka. That was the tweet there from
So the kind of continual theme I want to keep going during this, which is part of the philosophical question, is: are we blowing things out of proportion? Because I think in this day and age, a lot of things seem to get blown out of proportion. There's a few different ways this happens. Like, one is like when politics is partisanship. Anything the other side does gets blown out of proportion. Anything your side does gets swept under the rug a little bit. But I think just in general, when something becomes like a hot button topic, then anything that could be close to it gets a little extra attention paid to it than maybe it should.
Yeah.
Now, this might not really fall under that category because you are kicking someone when they're down.
Yes.
Right? And you're also not a person you haven't been established yet at all in the WWE, right? But I think here's the problem. He was just trying to make a funny joke. And his timing was just poor, right?
Well, I think here's what happened with this.
I don't think there's any ill intention on his part.
No. No. I don't think so. I think a couple things are in play. Number one, this is just, I think, an industry faux pas in a way that he is only now getting used to. So, like, in the independent world, if CZW told him, never come back here, you're never going to wrestle with us again, or we don't need you, we have nothing for you, you go wrestle other places, right? And so I think there might be a little bit of that to him where he's like, all right, I can make a joke because, whatever, you're not with the WWE. I wasn't with the WWE for the entirety of my career. Like, I was fine. I was making a living. Like, you know, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your dream. You will be okay. The problem is, for a lot of these guys, this is a tight-knit community, and nobody wants to see somebody else lose their job, and they see each other all the time. They know each other all the time. So this was not just somebody who they don't know celebrating the firing of somebody that they do know. It was a breach of a code of ethics that, hey, leave it to the fans. We had enough of this from the fans somebody's released. I hope blank is released next. We don't need it from inside these four walls.
Sure. And there is plenty of wrestlers, taking the piss out of each other on Twitter in WWE. But generally it's only done about kind of kayfabe style things, and not whenever somebody actually loses their job, you just see an outpouring of emotion most of the time. So yeah, I think it's just the problem was that he is new to this and kind of treated it a little bit like you said, like you could just kind of do what you want with your Twitter, and your Twitter is there for you to kind of poke fun and have a good time. And he just made a joke that a lot of people found in poor taste. Now, I'm a defender of humor, even if it's offensive. I think you should be allowed to make jokes.
Yeah.
But I'm also not in the position he was in, and I have in my life bit my tongue when I think something's not going to go over well. You have to know your room, right?
Yeah.
And his room was basically all of everybody. His room was everybody. So if he'd said it, in a locker room with a few other wrestlers or something, they might all laughed it off, and then whatever. They wouldn't have probably gone and made a big deal out of it. But yeah, you're doing it to everybody. And so all the fans see it, all the other wrestlers see it. Man, just not the right forum, not the right room.
Now, he got a ton of reaction from all around the WWE. Bray Wyatt tweeted him and said, you're not going to make it with the Wolves, kid. Kevin Owens said that it's the dumbest thing he's ever read, and it made his brain hurt. There was, even some of the NXT talent lit into him for being out of turn. But however, to your point, when an even hand needs to rest itself on the till, who's there but William Regal? He tweeted, "We all make mistakes. All of the people who have had heat, quote unquote, or problems, Have I ever joined in with the pack on you? Perhaps a chat and a bit of guidance would be better. Being a pro comes in many ways in and out of the ring. And all I wanted him to add to that was, and so I'm making a match at NXT TakeOver. It will be Emma versus Lio Rush. I think you're muted. If you can hear me, I think you may be muted.
Yeah,
Oh.
sorry about that.
Oh,
yeah, so yeah, I'm with you on that. Winner stays. Winner gets their WWE job. Loser goes to the Indies. Now, another thing though too is Emma is kind of heartbroken, but things are not over for her. She is going to be a huge draw anywhere she wants to go now, if she wants to do that.
I kind of wonder where, because is she the first? She will be the first free and clear shake loose from the women's revolution, right? From that NXT class. Paige would have obviously been the biggest, but
she hasn't been released or quit yet. So
yeah, I mean, she's apparently set to re-debut any day now.
Yeah.
But I would be curious. You look at a promotion like Ring of Honor that wants to get into the women's wrestling game and has done.
They
more
really
of
don't have anything going on there right now. So
well,
this
they
would be a great
do.
way to
Yeah, they have
start.
like the Women of Honor or something like that.
Yeah.
Emma would be a huge pickup for somebody else that wanted to take women's wrestling more seriously. Meanwhile, it's like, geez, like, can you imagine Wrestle Circus? I'm sure can't wait to get her into.
I'm sure they're already making calls.
Yeah, and a lot of these super indies, now, the fantasy book, all the Mae Young roster that didn't get signed by WWE. Emma's there for you. Candice LeRae before she goes to WWE if she hasn't already. These will be gigantic matches. Emma versus Joey Ryan, who makes half his living off intergender matches.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, that'd be fantastic.
This is gonna be great.
Yeah.
So she will be fine. Hey, speaking of WWE and Ring of Honor. Are you interested in going to one of these mega shows that's happening like an hour and a half away from you in San Antonio, Willie?
I mean, yes. The answer to that would be yes.
So just in case people don't know, there is this weird thing, this like big fish, little fish thing that has happened for a while with Ring of Honor and WWE. Because Ring of Honor, being smart, understood that, hey, look, we can better run bigger houses if we are in places where the WWE is also. Because the WWE just brings a lot of wrestling fans, and they're only going to run X amount of shows. So let's also do a Ring of Honor show. When we were there for WrestleMania, we drove our happy asses an hour outside of Orlando to Lakeland so we could go see an awesome Ring of Honor show.
Yeah.
So they have now done one, set up a show. They had the date first in San Antonio. And meanwhile, NXT decides that they're going to do a San Antonio show too. And on their show, they're going to give away for the live audience what is surely the or possibly the WrestleMania or Royal Rumble takeover main event, which will be Adam Cole versus Drew McIntyre. They're going to do Adam Cole versus Drew McIntyre. And who's going to be the special guest referee for this live event? Well, none other than the hot, bright kid, Shawn Michaels, who always makes his impression felt when he's in that referee, that too tight referee shirt with his bicycle shorts. This is going to be a huge show, but Ring of Honor doesn't lie down. They cut a promo with the Bullet Club saying, hey, look, it looks like the WWE is trying to eat off the Bullet Club's plate yet again. And Ring of Honor says, hey, what do you say to this? Why don't we bring the hottest American independent, hottest independent wrestler in the American market, Kenny Omega, to our show? So what I hope you are doing right now, Willie, is looking at tickets to these shows to decide whether or not you want to go to one of them.
This is going to be a pretty interesting little time here because so Thursday, November 16th, there's NXT in Cedar Park, which is about 45 minutes north of me.
Yeah.
Right. And that will be, this is not the same one. This is not the NXT San
No.
Antonio. This is like right before it. So this is like a little, this is kind of like an NXT house show.
Yeah.
Right?
And
the
so
venue
is
is very small. There's not gonna be a bad seat in the house. I
Yeah.
looked up, there's like $20 tickets that are going to be super close to the action.
also NXT house shows. Go. If there's an NXT house show, doesn't matter if the top talent is there. The people that are there are good. Those shows are always fun.
There's also Wrestle Circus that weekend. And there's also, like you said, the Ring of Honor and the NXT. And then the Houston show is going to be the
that's War Games.
War Games. Yeah. So it's just like an insane weekend of wrestling.
Yeah.
All within about an hour to 2 hours from me. Because San Antonio is about an hour south. Cedar Park is about 45 minutes north, and Houston's about 2 hours east.
Yeah.
So it's possible to do all of it.
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be.
It's tricky, but it's possible.
I'll tell you what. I want Wrestle Circus to compete. To be like, hey, look, no, you don't have to leave. Come on here. You can watch Emma take the dick flip. Right here in Austin.
Yeah. No, they I need to hear what. I'm sure they're paying close attention to all this because they are super fans. So.
Oh, I do not. I do not doubt. But yeah, Kenny Omega now, down there. All right, we got some sadder news from kind of outside of the ring. Number one, I don't even know what there is to say about this. Jeff Jarrett now officially gone from Impact. There will be no more references to the GFW era. He is in rehab and out of his position with Impact. He had some parting shots out the door saying that Anthem was out of money. He does not seem like that is an amicable thing. You have anything to say about Jeff Jarrett?
To be honest, like, it's hard for me to take him seriously anymore, and that's unfortunate because he was at one point like one of the biggest stars in wrestling, right? So you don't like to see this happen to anybody where they just fall from grace this hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not handling life well right now, I guess you could say.
No, apparently somebody was telling me that now his daughters are fighting with each other because his maternal daughter, or the one he fathered, I guess, just tweeted out, does anybody notice that Karen Angle... here we go. Let's go ahead and bring this up here. This is Jeff Jarrett's family drama, because that's all he needs as he's like going to rehab and losing his job, is his family fighting with each other on Twitter. And I guess he also doesn't need a-holes like us talking about it, but you want to know what? We can't always get what we want, Jeff. Here we go. Jeff Jarrett's daughter takes a shot at Karen Jarrett over his recent issues. Jeff Jarrett's week of turmoil. Oh, awesome ad. Okay. Jeff Jarrett's week of turmoil continues as it looks like a bit of family feud is brewing. Jarrett's daughter, Jocelyn, retweeted a tweet that disparaged Karen's current wife, Karen, formerly Karen Angle, by the way. It said, Karen Jarrett with another husband in rehab drives men to the sauce. At which point, the stepdaughter decided to light into her with, what the hell is your problem? And kind of annoying when people post shit to make others feel sorry for them. LOL, like, it's not even about you. So I don't know. Now I even regret talking about this because, like, what the hell are we going to say?
I mean, let's just be honest. Like, he's going through one of those situations in life. You've seen it happen to people, I'm sure, where just everything goes wrong at the same time. But he's not without responsibility.
Jeff Jarrett seems like he has a self-destructive personality, and I don't say that necessarily as just what's happening now. I think that there have been plenty of other times. Go ahead and listen to that Something to Wrestle With episode that all about Jeff Jarrett. He has made many, 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 many self-destructive choices in his life. There just seems to be a little voice inside of his head that says, what if this all went away? That gets louder and louder the closer he gets to what he wants.
Blow it all up.
It'd
be fun.
Yeah. And
so
then,
it looks like that ROH show has only standing room tickets available right now, by the way.
Oh,
so
man.
that's unfortunate.
That might be out, right?
Yeah. But NXT House Show and Wrestle Circus might just be the play.
Yeah. So go do NXT Friday, Wrestle Circus
No,
Saturday.
NXT is actually on a Thursday.
Oh, Thursday, yeah.
The Thursday house show. And then just like watch all the other stuff, but then go to Wrestle Circus, which I believe is a Sunday.
Yeah. I'll
Too
tell you
many
what,
things, man. It's hard.
I'm going to let you know that I'm very, very, very jealous of you with your opportunity to see some wrestling. And I'm going to make sure you know that because I'm going to make you jealous at the end of this episode. Before we get to that, let's talk about other people's personal failings. Were you were? I think we all said that we were looking forward to Cultaholic, right? You know the cast-offs from What Culture, Pro Wrestling.
I'll say this. I think What Culture has actually landed on their feet a little bit with the new people. I was a little skeptical at first. They haven't added as many new people, and I've been still watching a lot of the same kind of stuff I was before. I think it's okay. I think it's going to be fine. Yeah. But yes, the personalities that were going to Cultaholic, I was definitely excited to see. And unfortunately, there's been a little snafu over there.
Well, I mean, to quote the new GM of What Culture Pro Wrestling, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. And this could not have played out worse, timing-wise. They released a video, the Cultaholic video, announcing when they were going to start. November 5th, they were going to start very soon. And in it, they were all shedding ceremonially the vestiges from What Culture. You know, King Ross taking off his crown and burying it and everything. And Adam Blampede, the center piece of this thing, very symbolically, but as a joke, pulls off his pants, pulls off his underwear, and you see the blurred out crotch. It's a funny joke, symbolic that they're all starting a new venture together. And then this happens. First, there is a apology. This is the first time that I saw anything of it, of Adam Blampede apologizing because he had a few women come out and say that he was trying to hawk them nudes. Willie, he was taking advantage of his fame and asking young women to send naked pictures to him. Then on Friday, the site announced that he had been terminated from the young company. Meanwhile,
first it was just going to be a leave of absence.
Of absence
while he dealt with this. Then it turned into termination.
Then it turns into him getting fired from the company, and now it seems as if everybody else from Cultaholic has all changed their avatars away from the Cultaholic logo. This whole thing might be done.
Yep. They might be just all moving on to separate projects or starting something new that isn't tied to his name anymore. Now, the thing that's weird to me is that the details of this don't seem to indicate something worth this reaction. Like something where your career is over. And I do see that it's shady.
Yes.
And I do see like what I have read is shady and probably is something relationship ending with his girlfriend. And probably something that is tarnishing of her reputation when it comes to future dating opportunities, especially when people know about it.
Yeah.
But there's gotta, and you said this at the beginning of the show, and I agree with you, there's gotta be something more that happened that we don't know about for it to have been like this. Because asking women online for nudes is definitely not it's not a great thing to do, especially when you're using a position of influence to do it, right?
Okay, all right. Let me pull back the curtain a little bit. Because there's a lot that we talk about that we don't know shit about ass about. We are not pro wrestlers. We are not in the business. We are just some guys who like hearing our own voice and have made a podcast. However, if there is one thing for which we at least know enough about that we can talk about with some authority, it is niche internet fame. I feel like we know enough about niche internet fame that I can say by my own admission, and I have been in a relationship with Ashley for 6 or 7 years now. We are married. But there are moments in which you recognize somebody @replies you, and it's just one of those @replies that isn't really even meant for you. It's just like, oh, wow, @Justin R. Young looks very cute or something, or like, oh, it's very handsome. Something that is like just a little putting it out there in the ether, a little flirty. You understand that for a single person or for somebody that wants to pursue kind of this stuff, these are opportunities to slide up in those DMs and have whatever kind of conversation you might want to have. Am I talking out of school here, Willie?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I definitely think that, there are going to be people who are fans who are, and this is not something that's new. Like,
no,
groupies have been around forever, and that's a thing. And if somebody feels like they have a connection with you just because they saw you on the internet and liked you, then yeah, they're going to be a little more receptive when you try to then come back and ask for something, especially something like this, which is like, to me, it's like, yeah, the guy seems like a little bit scummy now.
Yeah. Oh no.
But man, something else must have happened besides just asking for nude pictures and receiving them, because that's a scummy thing to do. But I've been seeing a lot of he's a sexual predator, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can go that far.
One of the women that I read personally, I don't know if the other one did, called him a sexual predator. Said that essentially what happened.
Well, she felt preyed upon. That's valid.
She posted
feel the way they feel.
She posted the receipts. She showed all of his grimy DMs, just saying like, hey, look, I bet you your boobs are really nice. You need to send a picture. Yada yada yada. It was all out there, and she was made to feel that he lied to her, which I think by his own admission he did, that his girlfriend was cool with it, that she was allowing him to solicit these kinds of pictures for whatever nefarious purposes. But unless they had an argument over how to handle it, or he has now had a change of heart that he doesn't want to be a public figure anymore, and that his role in Cultaholic would have been less than what it was. I think there has to have been just something a little more, because this does seem like something that could go away. By and large.
Yeah. But also, like, lying to somebody isn't really illegal. Like, okay, if he'd gotten the pictures and then shared them on the internet or something like that, like, that's literally like, that's a sexual assault case as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Right? That's like, you're going too far.
Yeah.
So even if this is like, this can't be the end of it, right? Like, they had to have done some more shady things, I think, because it went from, I'm taking leave of absence to deal with like my behavior and how much it hurts people.
Also, by the way,
to I'm leaving the company and the company's blowing up.
Can I ask you this question? Because we can speak with some level of authority on being niche internet famous. If all of a sudden one of us parachute us into his life, what are taking steps for that? Like what do you classify as I have now taken appropriate steps?
I don't even know. Yeah, like what do you do at that point? Like,
is it just go to therapy
or something?
Yeah, maybe. Like I don't even you don't go to the I'm a grimy asshole clinic, right? It's
sure. Apparently they have one. Harvey Weinstein apparently went there for a week.
Well, I mean,
I was very good and it was great, and now I'm cured.
Sex addiction, I understand, and maybe this was an element of sex addiction, and maybe that there is other stuff that is relevant to his sex addiction. I think sex addiction is a thing. But, like, this kind of seems a little bit more garden variety. I want to see, somebody tweets something nice about you. You look at their avatar. You're like, God damn, that's an attractive person. I wonder if I could slide up in these DMs. Like, this seems, again, I think you're right. This does not seem like your career should necessarily be over. You should have some questions you need to ask yourself. You have a reckoning you have to face in your personal life.
Well, you should probably not be with a girlfriend if this is the kind of behavior you're exhibiting, right? You probably shouldn't have a girlfriend. But like, okay, let's talk about like Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
goes from like being like a teenager who's like making YouTube videos to suddenly famous. Do you think he didn't take advantage of his fame and fortune to sleep with some fans of his?
150%.
We absolutely know that happened. Did it ruin his reputation? Not at all. Now, other things ruined his reputation, but he's actually still kind of doing fine. Like, I think it's comes to the thing where like if you own your own actions in life and you aren't sleazy about them, it's kind of okay. Like if you are like, look, this is what I'm doing. If you get internet famous and then you want to start sliding into DMs, you probably need to first have a conversation with your girlfriend and say, I'm probably not going to be a good boyfriend. We should probably not be in a relationship because I'm thinking about sliding into some DMs, right?
Yeah.
You do that, you're probably okay. But I think the thing he did wrong was he was just a dishonest person about it. And now he's trying too late to fix it by being overly honest, I guess. Now he's like, oh, I got to get out in front of this thing.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily all going to work because he still did the sleazy thing.
He kind of did.
Yeah.
Well,
you did the sleazy thing, man, and that sucks. But I don't know.
At least
I'm
now,
with you. I think career ending, there's got to be something we don't know about.
Well, you can finally do a video of how Adam Blampied should have booked his relationship.
Sure. 10 things Cultaholic wants you to forget about Adam Blampied.
All right. Hey, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and get into this. You mentioned that the philosophical question is, are we blowing everything out of proportion? Let's spend just a little bit more time on that. Obviously, we saw it with Adam Blampied. We saw it with Lio Rush. Is part of the question here just the fact that we are on Twitter so much, that there's an echo chamber, that things explode so much faster?
I definitely think that there's something to be said for the modern age of technology and how quickly media actually happens now.
Yeah.
And also how many voices are heard and heard immediately. And people try to get in on the trend as fast as possible, right? So think about, your job is just to talk about stuff. You need to make it kind of interesting. So obviously you talk about it in its most salacious form, right? You try to make it come across as something that matters quite a lot. And we see it's like 24-hour news cycles have done this, where you have to go into every single detail because you're trying to fill time. You're trying to talk about all this stuff. And then just how many voices that aren't professionally trained journalists. I know you've taken journalism courses because you actually have worked as a journalist before.
Indeed.
So you understand that when this is something you are taught, you are not supposed to really talk about anything until you have confirmed details and things that you know for a fact that this is actually how it happened. There's a huge amount of ethics that go into journalism.
Well,
now there's a whole bunch of people who have never been taught once about ethics doing quote unquote journalism because they are doing a podcast or something, or doing a YouTube channel, or doing a whatever, or just like a person with lots of followers who tweets a lot. Like they're, in a sense, they are performing journalism without the appropriate training, I guess you could say.
Sure, and there is a democratization of media that I think is on one hand very, very important because, listen, it is the democratization of media that has brought about this whole Me Too thing. Sure. Now.
Oh, it's definitely used for positives a lot.
Yeah. But I think you're right. There is an element here that what you can't get back is reputation. So let's imagine for a second a fictional scenario, not a real scenario, but a fictional scenario, that in the midst of all this, I think, correct, righteous fury and fire over unreported sexual assaults, Kevin Spacey and James Toback and Mark Halperin, like all these people that are righteously talented and made horrifyingly ghastly decisions, and that now it is not Mark Halperin, who wrote the Game Change books, was on television Tuesday, not a care in the world. A thing posts on a rival network Wednesday. He is out of all of his jobs by Friday. He no longer has a book. He no longer has a television show. He no longer has guest recurring stuff. He is done. Not anywhere to be seen. Kevin Spacey, it was over the weekend. Somebody said that, hey, when working in Broadway, that he was 14 years old and Kevin Spacey tried to make moves on him. And Kevin Spacey had a very crappy response. And now House of Cards is done. Right?
And also other things are coming out too. It takes one to kind of start knocking all the dominoes down, right? Yeah. I think all of a sudden you see more people feel And sometimes people try to say, oh, these are just opportunists, right? So I've heard people use this as an excuse, like Donald Trump specifically has used this as an excuse, like, well, these women just say that because it's an opportunity for them to jump on and try to get some money out of me or something.
Listen,
right?
you want 2 scoopfuls of that? Then just wait until some college program's starter gets busted for rape or sexual assault or something like that, and you will hear a lot of very informed people that just happen to root for the same team, giving you a million different reasons why the accuser is not credible. But let's imagine, because this is not beyond the realm of possibility, that there might be somebody that does have an axe, and maybe there's there's a salacious statement that is made that is not totally true. This is not to say that 9 times out of 10 that nobody else would want to bring that kind of opinion or that kind of pressure on themselves. But in a world where these things are happening so fast and the spotlight doesn't necessarily linger all that long, but the damage certainly does, I think that's where, I'm not saying it's a problem now. I'm saying every reaction has a reaction. There is an ability right now, if somebody wanted to call down the thunder of public shame and judgment, have the world fall apart around this person, and then just kind of not show up with the receipts, right?
Sure. And then they just kind of move on to the next thing. We're living in a completely different world than 30 years ago, because there's a lot of guys. You think about what the stories you hear in pro wrestling or entertainment about what was going on in like the 70s and the 60s and the 80s as well. If there was the echo chamber then, maybe this some of these guys wouldn't have had the long storied careers that they did, right? I mean, think about the infamous airplane flight where essentially you have wrestlers trying to sleep with drunk wrestlers trying to sleep with stewardesses during the flight. In very aggressive ways. And it just kind of, then they just go to the next show, like internally everybody kind of knows about it, but they, just excuse the behavior. It's just it's not gonna fly anymore. So if you're in the public eye these days, it is a different world for you. You can't just do whatever you want and expect that you're going to have like the anonymity of the locker room or something like that. Like it just doesn't work that way anymore. It's too easy for even something that might not be that bad to turn into something really bad. And then of course, because there are so many bad things and people doing things that they shouldn't, it all kind of gets lumped together. You become part of that group, right? Going through the Blampied Reddit threads. I saw the name Harvey Weinstein many, many times on those threads. And I don't think you can one-to-one compare those things. Not even close.
No, Harvey Weinstein settled multiple rape accusations.
Sure, exactly. But that doesn't matter to people. They're not thinking things through logically. They're reacting in a moment's notice. They're hearing information and they're regurgitating it back with opinions and thoughts formed over the last minute and a half. Not sitting there thinking about things for hours, not contemplating all of the details, the ins and outs. That's just the speed we're working at right now, right? So then things kind of compound themselves, and it just the ball gets rolling, and you can't really stop it.
Well, to answer the philosophical question, are we blowing things out of proportion? My answer would be not yet. I would say I'm not willing to pull the reins up now, but I don't think we're necessarily far away from us being at a position where we might have to.
Now, I think the answer that I have for it is that we often do, but we also often don't, right? So it's one of those things. I think it's important to recognize when it is happening, though. It's important to, in this day and age, try to find credible sources. For information. A Reddit comment where some guy
might not be
they know everything.
That might not be it.
Source.
No.
Yeah, even if they cited another Reddit comment, no, still not a credible source.
No, not yet.
So,
No.
Yeah, try to find out for yourself what really happened. Formulate your opinion before you kind of let other people talk you into something that might not or not be true. But it's, Trey Warren in the chat thought this was unfriend me for a minute. Yeah, but it's like this is our world. We're seeing this a lot, like the world of wrestling that we're covering. We're seeing this a lot lately. All of a sudden, there's a ton of drama, and I think a lot of the drama just is because the internet is just it's everything now. It is everywhere. Things are happening that just happened. Literally, Lio Rush's thing only happened on the internet.
Yeah,
if you think like it wasn't even anything. He didn't go say something to somebody or do something. Adam Blampy's thing happened because of the internet, because he's not famous without it, right? It's so pervasive now that you gotta kind of step back and say, all right, where are we at? What is it? What's the real thing here? What's the real story?
All right, let's go ahead and get into the most popular element of the show, and that is our Melodica Challenge. Here is last week's Melodica Challenge. I kind of like this. This was like a melancholy version of the song. It was great. I really, really dug it. But
it makes me want to hear a full cover just played on children's instruments.
That's it. Give me the green light. That is a green light. Pitbull.
Pitbull, is it Pitbull and Flo Rida?
Pitbull, Flo Rida, and Lunch Money Lewis.
Lunch Money Lewis. That's right.
Yeah. Of course, the theme song for WrestleMania 33 or 34. It was 33, I think, that we saw.
33? Yeah.
Yeah. This is this week's. One more time. Here we go. This is the shitty melodic thing. Again, listen, this is the same guy. The same guy. I love Trey Warren so much. Hold on. This is the same guy that did this. Also does this. This is our wrestling our melodica theme for this week. Oh, you want to know what? This thing is being stupid. Melodica theme for this week. All right, everybody, go ahead and if you want to know what this is, you got to be a patron. Patreon.com/1900wrestling. We will get you not only the answer, but also a downloadable version of the MP3 if you are part of the team.
By the way, Trey Warren in chat just said there are indie themes in this batch. Yes.
Indie. Now, that's a level. That's a
it's going to take some super fans here to
I know.
Find some of these.
Tell you what, we will figure that out as we go along. Willie, we both got big weeks. What do you got going on?
Well, I'll be streaming as much as possible before leaving for Vegas, but we will be in Vegas pretty much starting this next weekend. So I'll be around for a week. I think I'm working only one day, so you should see a lot of streams. So twitch.tv/WillieDills. Lots of Hearthstone. I got a week left of dual arenas, so gotta take advantage of that. Gotta try to get as many of those streams in as possible. But after that, I'll be in Vegas for like 8-9 days or something like that. So we will see what the schedule looks like from
That's
there.
a lot of time in Vegas.
It's a
really.
lot of time in
That's
Vegas.
A lot
which
of time.
means that I might want to just take a few nights and just chill in my hotel room and stream instead of going and doing stuff. Because it's 9 days in Vegas is hard to make it through.
I mean, you can't go Vegas hard 9 days
No, you
in
can't
a
go
row.
Vegas. Yeah. I basically need to wait until the last couple nights and then just go hard then, right before I come back.
Yeah.
But
No,
keep
that's
it chill up until then.
That's the way to do it. You want to miss Vegas when you leave. You know, you don't want to burn yourself out.
But I am there for a big golf tournament. There's 207 guys. It might be hard once there's the full 207 to take it easy. But I've been playing really good golf for a mediocre golfer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to win that belt this year.
Nice.
Actually, the winner gets like an actual like wrestling belt. And I actually feel like I got a shot. So I'm focused. I'm focused. I'm going to stay the course.
Focus. That's it. I believe in you, and so does every listener here to this podcast. So we are all rooting for you. I will be doing my best Willie Dills impression because I'm going to BlizzCon for the first time ever, and I'm going to fill in for you on the Angry Chicken on when they do their show. So I will do my best to not completely embarrass your spot there on the show.
Well, I expect you're going to hit legend by Friday. So.
Yes, exactly. So I can say as a legend player. No, I'll just log into your account. You just give me your password. Sure. I'll just say, as somebody who's logged into a legend player's account, I would like to make the following comments. But if there was somebody who could be there in my stead, I'm glad it's you because you always are a welcome addition to the Angry Chicken. I would totally I think this is the first year I'm not going to be at BlizzCon in many, and first year you're going to be there. I know.
So that's a bummer, but
ships passing in the night, doobie doobie doo. But I'm sure that there will be plenty of other opportunities for us to hang at cons. I have one parting shot for you. Are you prepared to be just a little jealous? I'm gonna ask you.
I mean, sure. Yeah, I'm actually not a very jealous person.
Okay.
Like if something great happens to somebody else, I'm just happy for them.
All right. Well, tell me if you can contain the news when I tell you that my wife, Ashley Paramore, has secured for us tickets to the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh,
January 4th. We are going to Japan. It is going to be a 6-star trip. This came together late, as you can tell by when this podcast is. It only came together over the last week, but I am going to go to Wrestle Kingdom. Dave Meltzer is already calling it the best vacation that I've ever taken. It is.
So is she gonna go to see wrestling too?
She is going to the Tokyo Dome. We are going to see Okada, Naito. We are going to see whatever Omega Cody or Omega Ibushi, whatever they wind up doing. It is going down.
Oh God, pray for Omega Ibushi because that will be. They will try to outdo whatever Okada does.
Yes. Right? No, without a doubt. Without a doubt. This is going to be gigantic. It's going to be huge. It's going to be a massive thing. I'm sure we will talk about it. If anybody has been to see Japanese wrestling, if anyone's been to Wrestle Kingdom, holler at your boy. I need to know everything. I need to have a Japanese wrestling to-do list. I think definitely going to the Ribera Steakhouse will be on the list. I'm gonna have to go there.
Now, can you get a jacket? Because the jacket's available to anybody.
I think that they're only available to wrestlers, but I don't know if they sell.
Give them to the wrestlers. Okay.
I got to get a shirt at the very least.
But the steak is available to everybody.
The steak is there for anybody that wants to show up. So, let's let me know. Holler at me, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com if you've got any Japanese tidbits in general and Japanese wrestling tidbits, but I will do my best to bring a one-man audio documentary of Wrestle Kingdom back. I
want to hear Ashley's opinions on the Japanese scene.
I mean, listen, I'm so pumped because like I'm actually really I love crowds. Crowd dynamics is really if I'm gonna say the thing that I love the most about professional wrestling, it is the manipulation of crowds. I love it. It's my favorite. I am so excited to just sit in a Tokyo Dome crowd, which is like all the silence and the clapping and nobody's yelling or chanting or screaming.
Like a slow build, right?
A slow build.
Yeah, and then it kind of like the noise elevates a little bit, and then you get some like some yells. People like go and then all of a sudden like it's just the big finish when like 4 almost finishers happen in a row, and then finally somebody hits it. Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God.
got to be a cool thing to actually be there for that.
Oh, Reverend Puck, you have to get a geisha. You have to hang with a young Scarlett Johansson. You have to build a Gundam. All right, come on, Weisenheimers.
You're not going through a midlife crisis here.
I know.
You're
Nor am I
trying
going to build
find
a
your place in the
Gundam.
world.
All right. So go ahead and let me know. But that is coming. Coming on in January, you will get the 1-900 Wrestling crowd will get an audio documentary from Wrestle Kingdom. Very excited. All right. That about wraps it up for this edition of the show. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Again, patreon.com/1900 wrestling is where you can get in touch and be a part of the show. Till then, this is 1-900 Wrestling. Be dialing!
Stupid idiots.
They call me Hara.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
And his name is John Cena.
Well, look at this prima donna.